crowd joined in the attack against Paul and Silas, and the magistrates ordered them to be stripped and beaten with rods. After they had been severely flogged, they were thrown into prison, and the jailer was commanded to guard them carefully. When he received these orders, he put them in the inner cell and fastened their feet in stocks. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once all the prison doors flew open, and everyone's chains came loose. The jailer woke up, and when he saw the prison doors open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself because he thought the prisoners had escaped. But Paul shouted, "Don't harm yourself, we are all here." The jailer called for lights, rushed in, and fell trembling before Paul and Silas. He then brought them out and asked, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" Hello, this is Kenny Underwood coming to you from 1 Minute Sermon, one of my favorite stories out of the Bible of Paul and Silas displaying their faith. Paul and Silas had taken a woman that had been following them, that had a spirit within her that enabled her to tell fortunes, and they had cast that spirit out of her. And the people who owned her had made them mad, so they grabbed Paul and Silas and took them to the authorities and had them arrested and thrown in prison. And they were beaten with rods, and they were stripped naked and then locked in stocks. But yet about midnight, here they were singing and praising God, displaying incredible faith, and the other prisoners were watching them. Dramatic story, such a profound story that at the end of it, the jailer saw what was going on and asked what he must do to be saved, took them to his house, and the story goes on to tell that everyone in his household, including himself, were converted and became followers of Christ. You know, I think that story is so appropriate. It has so many meanings, but it's very appropriate for us today. We all need to find other Christian brothers and sisters to hang out with, to worship with, and to rely on. And when we do this, we become much stronger than we are alone. We become much more than we are alone. You know, in Ecclesiastes 4 it says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone?" If you don't have a church, go out and find one. You'll find people with all kinds of things that in common with yourself. And more than anything, you'll find people with faith. And together, you'll learn about Christ's Word, you'll learn about God's Word, and you'll start to learn what it is that you can do to make a difference in this world. A couple great C.S. Lewis quotes are, "Is any pleasure on earth as great as a circle of Christian friends by a good fire?" And the other one, which is certainly appropriate for me, "The next best thing to being wise oneself is to live in a circle of those who are." Go out and find some other Christians, combine your faith with them, and you can change the world. There's your 1 Minute Sermon. God bless.